At age 11, Lionel Messi was a talented soccer player in Argentina, but he was tiny for his age. Doctors diagnosed him with a growth hormone disorder that stunted his growth. He needed expensive medical injections every night or he might never grow to a normal height. Messi's family couldn't afford the treatment for long, and no local club would cover the cost. Some coaches told him he was just too small to succeed. His future in soccer was in doubt, despite his skill. But on the other side of the world, one club saw something special in him. In 2000, FC Barcelona invited 13-year-old Messi for a trial. Their youth coach watched the little boy dribble through players twice his size. Messi was shy and very small, but his talent was unmistakable. The coach quickly said, "Sign him. Don't even think about it." Barcelona agreed to pay for Messi's treatment and move his family to Spain. They even signed the contract on a napkin that day because they didn't want to wait. Lionel Messi went on to become one of the greatest footballers of all time. In 2022, the kid once called too small led Argentina to win the World Cup. You have to fight to reach your dream. You have to sacrifice and work hard for it. Lionel Messi. His story shows that size and setbacks don't decide your destiny. Your heart and your talent do. If you've been here before, drop a hashtag Believe in the comments below so I can feature you here in a future video. And if you're new, welcome to Believe Nation, the only channel that helps you believe in yourself daily, one video at a time. Believe. Lionel Messi's journey from a fragile, undersized kid to a world champion is a pretty incredible example of overcoming setbacks and turning what most people think is a weakness into a strength. It wasn't easy. He faced painful treatments and doubts from other people and moments of real fear if his future would work out or not, but he never gave up on his dream. So think about that. At 11 years old, Messi stood at 4'4". He had not grown in 2 years, and without that treatment, doctors said he might top out at just 4'7" as an adult. Every night, this little boy had to inject a needle of growth hormone into his legs so he could have a chance at a normal life. That medicine cost over $1,500 each month, and that was money his family did not have. His father was a steel worker, and his mother cleaned part-time, and they struggled desperately to pay for the treatment. One local club, Newell's Old Boys, helped for a while and covered some of the bills, but even they couldn't keep doing it. They weren't willing to invest long-term in such a young, tiny player. No other club in Argentina would pay either. To them, it was too expensive and too risky. There was no guarantee Messi's treatment would make him grow or make him a star. Some thought it just wasn't worth it. So imagine how that would feel for young Lionel, right? To hear that people who should have been in his corner decided he was too small and not worth the cost. His dream was on the line. And it must have been heartbreaking. But despite all of those doubts swirling around him, Messi did not let it stop him. He loved football too much. He was incredibly good at it. His coaches and teammates at the Newell's Old Boys could see his skill whenever he played. He might have been the shortest kid on the pitch, but he was often the most talented. He was scoring hundreds of goals in youth games, leaving the audience in awe. He refused to let his height define him. So every night when he took those injections, he was effectively telling himself, "I'm not giving up. I'm going to do whatever it takes to reach my dream." He learned to give himself the shots at age 11, which is a scary thing for a kid, but he did it. And that built up his toughness and his self-reliance. So instead of feeling like a victim of his condition, Messi kept practicing and honing his skills. He stayed focused on the one thing that he could control, his effort on the field. And then when he was 13, that opportunity came from across the ocean. A few people in Barcelona had heard whispers about a tiny boy with giant talent. They saw videotapes of Messi weaving through defenders like magic, and Barcelona's youth academy invited him for a trial. Can you imagine how Messi must have felt flying to a brand new country, hoping that this was his chance? He was shy, he was in a strange new place, and everyone around him in the trial was much bigger than him. And it all came down to this moment. Not just a football career, but the possibility of a normal life for him was on the line. So Messi stepped onto that field in Barcelona and played like his life depended on it. And in a way, it did. He scored 5 goals in the trial game. He dribbled through players nearly twice his size. The ball seemingly glued to his foot as he weaved through defenders. The coaches watching were stunned. Within just a couple of minutes, one of Barcelona's directors was convinced this kid was a rare gem. Messi was the smallest on the pitch by a long shot, but he was also the most spectacular. And the director was so amazed that he took the slow walk around the field to collect himself, and then he immediately told his staff, "Sign him. Don't even think about it. They didn't want to lose this wonder kid to anyone else. In fact, Barcelona was so eager to secure Messi that they grabbed the nearest piece of paper, which happened to be a simple napkin at the restaurant that evening, and signed a makeshift contract on the spot. That napkin promised that FC Barcelona would pay for Messi's medical treatment and take care of his family as long as he would play for them. Imagine the relief and the joy that Messi and his family felt at that moment. One day, they were on the verge of having to quit the treatment and possibly see Lionel's dream fade away. The next, a world-famous club was saying, "We believe in your son, and we will help him." It was the chance of a lifetime. Messi and his family uprooted their lives and moved to Spain. It was a leap of faith fueled by hope. But even after arriving in Barcelona, the journey wasn't easy. Messi was in a new country, far from all of his relatives and his friends. He was still a small developing kid who had to keep taking his injections and keep proving himself on the field. He missed home, and at one point his mother and siblings actually moved back to Argentina because the adjustment was so hard, leaving Messi in Spain with his father. There were moments of loneliness and homesickness. Many 13-year-olds would have broken down or lost focus, but not Messi. He kept going to training every day, quietly doing the work. His teammates and coaches noticed his determination. He was usually the smallest player in every single match, but he played with a giant heart. And over the years, that weakness people saw in Messi, his short height, actually became one of his greatest strengths. Because he wasn't big and tall, he developed a low center of gravity, which gave him amazing balance and agility on the pitch. Defenders would tower over him, thinking they could knock him off the ball, but he would just zip right past them. His quick, low strides and unbelievable ball control left opponents chasing shadows. In fact, opponents initially underestimated him because of his size, and that made it even easier for Messi to surprise them with his skills. He turned his body's build into an advantage for him. He couldn't outmuscle the big guys, so he outsmarted and outpaced them. He perfected his dribbling, making it an art form. It's said that because he was never going to outjump or outpower others, he focused on mastering the aspects of the game he could dominate, and he absolutely did. The very thing that some viewed as a limitation became part of what makes him arguably the best of all time. What an amazing turnaround. The kid who was once considered too weak and small to invest in became a player known for his incredible skill and balance on the ball. And year after year, Messi rose through the ranks. He starred for Barcelona's youth teams, then quickly for the senior team. By 17, he made his professional debut. By his early 20s, he was dominating world football. He broke record after record, racking up goals and winning awards. He became a multiple-time World Player of the Year. All of this success was built on a foundation of heart and hard work. Messi didn't magically become great. He worked for it. The injections helped him grow to a normal height. He ended up around 5'7". But it was his dedication that made him a giant in the sport. He sacrificed his childhood comforts for his dream, moving to another continent, enduring medical treatment, training relentlessly, and it paid off beyond anyone's expectations. And in 2022, more than 2 decades after that 13-year-old boy signed the napkin contract, Lionel Messi stood on top of the world. The little kid from Rosario, Argentina, the one many thought might never grow or never make it, lifted the World Cup trophy as the captain of Argentina's national team. It was the ultimate triumph, the kind of moment every kid dreams about. Try to picture Messi in that moment, holding the World Cup high, tears in his eyes, a nation cheering his name. The boy who once had to beg clubs to help him pay for medicine had just led his country to the pinnacle of football. It's like a fairy tale, but it's real. And it happened because Messi refused to quit. He refused to let his setback define his destiny. And instead, he used it to motivate his journey. Also, if you want to take real action after this video, I made a free worksheet just for you. It covers the top lessons from today, gives you space to write your biggest takeaways, and helps you build a simple action plan. It's 100% free. Just click the link in the description to go grab it. I'll see you there. Now let's turn this inspiration to you. Messi's story is pretty extraordinary, but the truth is every single one of us faces challenges and setbacks in life. They may not be the same as Messi's, but they can feel just as overwhelming. So maybe you have something in your life that feels like a weakness or an unfair disadvantage. It could be a health issue like it was for Messi. It could be a physical trait or a lack of money or support. Maybe people around you are telling you that you can't do something, that you're not talented enough, you're not tall enough, you're not smart enough, or you're just not enough. Maybe you've even started to believe them. And I want you to think about Messi's story and realize that those people can be wrong. Your weakness can become your strength. Your setback can set the stage for an incredible comeback. And the first step is to believe in yourself and your dream, even when others don't. Messi had a few people who believed in him, his family, and eventually that one Barcelona scout. But through all the lonely nights and tough days, Messi himself had to believe that his dream was possible. If he didn't have that self-belief, he would have quit long before Barcelona ever came calling. So whatever your dream is, hold it tight. Even if it feels like the odds are against you, remind yourself why you want it and that you can do it. Second, be ready to fight and work hard for that dream. Like Messi said, you have to fight to reach your dream. You have to sacrifice and work hard for it. There's no way around this truth. Messi sacrificed a normal, easy childhood. He worked harder than everyone else on the pitch. You might have to put in extra hours, learn new skills, or face your fears. It might be painful, it might be tiring, but that's the price of admission for making a dream come true. And the good news is that hard work and sacrifice makes a success so much sweeter in the end. Every injection Messi took, every morning he woke up early to practice, every time he pushed through his homesickness, all of that built him into the champion that he eventually became. So what are you willing to sacrifice to overcome and reach your dream too? Third, look at the ways to turn your specific weaknesses into a strength. So this might mean developing other areas to compensate or using your unique situation as motivation. Messi's height pushed him to develop insane dribbling skills and field vision. In your case, think creatively. If, for example, you feel academically behind, maybe that struggle teaches you a better work ethic than others, which will serve you later on. If you come from a tough financial background, maybe that will drive your hunger to succeed and make you more resourceful. History is full of people who turned their weaknesses into strengths. Michael Jordan, in my opinion, the greatest basketball player ever, was once cut from his high school team because the coach thought he wasn't tall enough or good enough. And that rejection crushed him, but it also motivated him. He practiced even harder. He showed up every day, determined to prove himself. Jordan grew a bit taller, yes, but more importantly, he grew tougher. He came back and made the team, and he kept improving until he became a legend. Oprah Winfrey. She was fired from one of her first television jobs and was told that she was unfit for TV because she got too emotional on camera. It would have been easy for her to think, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. But instead, she kept going. She found her own style and eventually revolutionized television with her empathy and her authenticity. The very thing that she was criticized for became the cornerstone of her actual success. So these examples, they go on and on. You can find tons of them. The key is these people, they don't let setbacks or criticism stop them. They used them. They learned. They adapted. And they kept moving forward. So you can do the same. Whatever you're facing right now, try to see the seed of opportunity inside it. It may not be obvious at first, and it definitely won't be easy to overcome, but that challenge could be forging you into someone stronger and more special. It might be teaching you perseverance or patience or more creativity. It might be giving you a story that will inspire others one day. I know when you're in the middle of a struggle, it's hard to see any kind of positives. I'm sure young Messi had nights when he just felt too tired of it all, tired of the needles, tired of being told no, but he pressed on. And so can you. Remember, setbacks don't decide your destiny. Your determination and your heart do. Messi's story could have ended in defeat, a boy who didn't grow and gave up on football. But he decided that wouldn't be the end of his story. He chose a different ending, one he had to fight for, but one that was worth every sacrifice. You have that power too. Your story is still being written, and you are the author. The pen is right here. It's in your hands, even when circumstances make it feel like it isn't. So, the next time someone tells you that you can't do something, think of Lionel Messi holding that World Cup trophy. Think of how many times he heard can't and how he proved them wrong. And let that light a fire inside you because you have something special in you, just like Messi did. It may not be obvious to everyone yet. It might not even be obvious to you, but it's there. And if you nurture that talent or passion, if you protect it from the naysayers and feed it with hard work and belief, it will grow. In life, we all have moments where we feel small, when we feel like the odds are stacked against us. But remember, being small didn't stop Messi from reaching the absolute peak of his field. A setback at 15 didn't stop Michael Jordan. A harsh criticism didn't stop Oprah. And your challenges do not have to stop you. In fact, they can push you even further than you ever imagined. They can become the reason you succeed. Your heart, your talent, your grit, those are what will determine how far you go, not the obstacle in your path. So take Messi's words to heart. Fight for your dream. Work hard for it. When you stumble, Get back up. When you feel weak, remember it's an opportunity to become stronger. Embrace the journey with all of its difficulties because that is what shapes you. Keep going, keep believing, and one day you'll look back and see how far you've come. Just like Messi can look back at that 11-year-old boy and say, look where we are. And congratulations, you're one video closer to who you're meant to be. Believe. Now let's learn the incredible journey of Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan had a secret to get psyched up. He'd make up insults and take everything personally to motivate himself. If an opposing player even looked at him wrong, or sometimes did nothing at all, Jordan would invent a story that they disrespected him just to light a fire. In one famous case, a no-name player, LeBradford Smith, had a great game against him. Jordan pretended Smith said, "Nice game, Mike," in a mocking way. In reality, Smith never said it. Angry, Jordan dropped 36 points in the first half of their very next matchup, utterly destroying him. Years later, Jordan admitted he made that story up to psych himself up. This habit of turning any slight, real or imagined, into competitive motivation became legendary in The Last Dance documentary. It shows how far he'd go to never lose. I failed over and over again in my life, and that's why I succeed. Michael Jordan. I'm not a huge fan personally of leaning into the dark side to get your energy, but it can be extremely powerful in short bursts. What do you think? Why anger can boost performance. Michael Jordan wasn't the only one to turn negativity into motivation. NFL legend Tom Brady similarly kept a chip on his shoulder after being the 199th draft pick, using that feeling of disrespect to drive himself to greatness. Walt Disney's newspaper editor once fired him for lacking imagination and having no good ideas. Instead of giving up, Disney proved them wrong by later creating Mickey Mouse and Disneyland, transforming that early insult into motivation for success. These stories show a common pattern. Sometimes being doubted or insulted fires people up to work harder and achieve more. Why does this dark side motivation work? Anger and frustration can light a spark under you. When you feel angry, your body pumps out adrenaline, your heart beats faster, you feel a surge of energy, and you focus on defeating the challenge in front of you. Psychologists say all emotions have a purpose, even the negative ones. Anger is basically a signal that something is wrong or unfair, and it prepares you to fix it. In Jordan's case, anything that felt like disrespect became gasoline to a high-powered engine, fueling his drive to win. Anger might feel like a negative force, but it can actually give you a surge of energy to overcome the obstacles in front of you. In fact, scientific studies have found that people perform better on challenging tasks when they're a bit mad compared to when they feel neutral or indifferent. In one set of experiments, participants were purposely made angry by, say, facing insults or frustrating problems, and then given hard problems and games to tackle. The results were pretty clear. Those who got angry first persisted longer and scored higher on the tough tasks than those who stayed calm. The anger created extra effort and focus toward the goal, often leading to greater success. As one researcher put it, anger increases effort towards attaining a desired goal, frequently resulting in greater success. So, a little bit of that fiery feeling can push you to do what you didn't think you could do. Interestingly, positive emotions alone aren't always enough in high-stakes moments. We usually prefer to feel happy or relaxed, but mixing in some anger can supercharge motivation. A recent psychology study suggests that a mix of emotions, including negative emotions like anger, result in the best outcome. So, in other words, tapping into your dark side once in a while, in small doses, might give you an edge when you face a difficult goal. It's like how Michael Jordan famously found any little slight and said, "I took it personally." That mentality gave him an extra competitive edge when he needed it most. The dangers of living in anger. While anger can pump you up to win, living in a constant state of anger has serious downsides. Michael Jordan could turn it on during a game, but you wouldn't want to carry that fury all the time. First off, being angry too often is hard on your health. Studies show that people who are frequently angry are more prone to health issues like high blood pressure, heart attacks, strokes, and chronic pain. It also hurts your relationships. If you're always irritable or lashing out, friends and family won't exactly enjoy being around you. Another big risk of leaning into the dark side is it can lead to bad decisions. Anger is a powerful emotion, but it isn't very smart on its own. When you're mad, you might act without thinking of the consequences. Researchers found that while anger boosted people's success in a task, it also made them more likely to cheat or behave unethically to achieve that success. In one experiment, angry participants solved more problems, but they also were more willing to bend the rules to win. And that makes sense. Anger just wants to remove the obstacles, and sometimes it doesn't care how. If you let anger control you, you might end up doing something that you regret, like hurting someone or breaking someone or cheating in pursuit of your goal. As psychologist Dr. Heather Lynch explains, the intense responses that come with anger are not necessarily leading you towards a good or beneficial response. Because of these dangers, it's important not to stay in attack mode constantly. Think of anger like a burst of fuel. Great for short sprints, but too toxic to use all day. And if you're angry all the time, it will drive out positive feelings and leave you stressed and drained. Even Michael Jordan, as ferocious as he was on the court, didn't live his entire life in vengeance mode. He could turn it on and enjoy his victories after the game. But for the rest of us, the key is making anger serve you, not control you. Use it when you need that push, but don't let it take over your mindset or turn you into a person that you don't want to be. How to harness the dark side productively. So, how can you lean into the dark side safely using anger or frustration as a tool without burning yourself out or doing something you'll regret? Here are a few tips. Number one, use it sparingly. Save your anger boost for when you truly need extra fire, like a high-pressure project, a competition you've entered, or you're trying to overcome a slump. For everyday motivation, it's better to rely on positive habits and passion. Think of anger as a secret weapon for special situations, not your daily fuel. Next, pick a specific target. If you're going to tap into anger, focus it on a clear goal or challenge. So maybe someone said you can't do something. Fine, use that comment as energy to prove them wrong. Michael Jordan didn't just rage aimlessly, he directed his anger at winning the next game. Choose one enemy, a problem, a doubter, and channel your intensity into beating that target and only that target. Next, stay in control. The point is to let anger motivate your work, not make you lose your cool. So channel that fire into practice, into planning or extra effort, not into yelling at people or making rash moves. If Jordan felt disrespected, he responded by training harder and playing harder, not by fighting, at least off the court. Use that edge to push yourself, run an extra mile, study an extra hour, double down on your craft rather than to lash out on others. Next, set a time limit. Don't live in anger for too long. It's stressful and exhausting to stay mad. Give yourself a mental time frame to use that I'll show them energy. So for example, okay, I'm going to spend the next hour totally focused, fueled by this frustration, and knock this task out of the park. And after that, let it go, cool down, and reset to a positive mindset. Remember, anger is a sprint, not a marathon. Next, reconnect with your positive why. After you've used that burst of dark energy, refocus on the positive reasons you do what you do. Maybe you ultimately play basketball because you love the game, or you build your business because you want to help customers. Don't let your whole motivation become anger or revenge. Those can kickstart you, but long-term success comes from love, passion, and purpose. Even Jordan was fundamentally driven by his love of competition and winning, not just hatred of losing. Use anger as a jump cable, but keep your main engine running on positive fuel like passion, curiosity, and self-belief. Light and dark in balance. To maximize your potential, you don't have to be angry all the time. But in those moments when you're feeling flat or facing a huge challenge, channeling a bit of that dark side can give you a powerful boost. Michael Jordan showed that even imagined insults could ignite a real flame in his performance. A short burst of anger or indignation can shock you out of complacency and into action. It can make you say, enough. I'm going to give it everything I've got. And sometimes that's exactly what you need to break through a barrier. Just remember that anger is a tool, not a lifestyle. Use it wisely. It can help you smash a goal or silence a critic. But if you rely on rage for too long, it will cost you in your health, your happiness, your relationships. So take a page from the champions. When someone doubts you or life knocks you down, you could take it personally for a moment and let that light a fire in you, then channel that fire to do something great. Prove to yourself what you're capable of. After you've turned that spark into success, let the anger go and enjoy the win, because you earned it. And congratulations, you're one video closer to who you're meant to be. Believe.
Now here's my take on the top 10 greatest basketball players of all time.
Basketball has produced some of the most inspiring figures in sports, and in this countdown, we'll explore the top 10 greatest basketball players ever. Not just for their stats and championships, but for their mindset, leadership, hard work, and the impact they've had on and off the court. Each of these legends from different eras faced challenges and overcame obstacles. Their stories teach us lessons in perseverance, teamwork, and the power of dedication. Let's dive into the list from 10 to 1 and discover what makes each of these players truly great. Number 10 on our list is Steph Curry. Steph Curry is the sharpshooting superstar who revolutionized modern basketball with his three-point shooting. At 6'2" and not as physically imposing as many of his peers, Curry became a two-time MVP and four-time NBA champion through skill, vision, and relentless practice. He's often called the greatest shooter of all time, but his greatness isn't just about his shooting, it's about his heart and his hard work. Off the court, he is known for his humility, philanthropy, and leadership by example. Now, Curry's journey is the classic underdog story. Came out of high school, many top college programs thought he was too small. He had to prove himself at tiny Davidson College, where he lit up the NCAA tournament and put himself on the map. Even after reaching the NBA, he faced serious ankle injuries early in his career that almost derailed him. And instead of giving up, Curry strengthened his body and refined his skills. He turned every doubt into motivation. If you don't fall, how are you going to know what getting up is like, Curry once said, reminding us that setbacks teach us resilience. And those early stumbles fueled his rise to MVP status. Curry's success is not an accident, it's a choice he made to work extremely hard and believe in himself. He is proof that you don't need to be the tallest or the strongest if you master your craft and stay dedicated. By perfecting his long-range shot, he changed the way basketball is played. Today's teams emphasize three-point shooting largely because of him. His leadership is also defined by joy and team spirit. He plays with a contagious enthusiasm that lifts up his teammates. The lesson from Steph Curry's story is that confidence plus effort can rewrite the rules. Young players who might be overlooked can look to Curry and remember that with enough practice and passion, nothing will be given to us and we must earn every success. Steph's journey from underdog to all-time great inspires us to embrace our own challenges as opportunities to rise. At number 9 on the list, Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan, nicknamed the Big Fundamental, is the cornerstone of the San Antonio Spurs dynasty and widely considered the greatest power forward of all time. Let's talk stats. He won 5 NBA championships and 3 finals MVPs, anchoring a franchise that made the playoffs in every season of his 19-year career. Duncan was never flashy. Instead, he was consistent, humble, and team-oriented. He earned the respect of everyone by doing the little things right and putting the team first game after game. In fact, his legacy is being a model of humility and teamwork in the modern NBA. Duncan's path to basketball greatness was unusual. As a child growing up in the U.S. Virgin Islands, his first dream was to become an Olympic swimmer. A hurricane destroyed his island's only Olympic-sized pool, and around the same time, his mother passed away from cancer when Tim was 14. Now, these hardships could have crushed him, but instead they led him to basketball. Duncan only started playing basketball as a teenager far later than most pros. He embraced the new sport with the same level of discipline that he learned from swimming. He'd also promised his mom that he'd get his college degree, and he did, graduating before entering the NBA. Now, despite being the #1 draft pick, he stayed humble and coachable. He focused on fundamentals, his footwork, his defense, his bank shots. His mother had taught him a simple motto: good, better, best. Never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best. Duncan lived by those words constantly, turning his good into better through effort. Duncan's leadership was quiet but powerful. He never sought the spotlight or trash talk. Instead, he lifted others up. He led by example, showing that consistency and integrity win in the long run. Younger teammates saw how he never took plays off, how he stayed calm under pressure, and they followed his lead. Over nearly 2 decades, he helped build one of the most consistent winning franchises in sports. For entrepreneurs and young achievers, Tim Duncan proves that you can be both humble and the best. You don't need to brag or show off. If you put in the work every day, your results will speak for you. His career is a testament to fundamentals, patience, and staying true to your values, no matter the challenges that forced you to change course. At number 8 on the list, Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal, simply known as Shaq, is one of the most dominant forces basketball has ever seen. Standing 7'1" and over 300 pounds in his prime, Shaq overpowered entire teams with his size and strength. He was a 4-time NBA champion, 3 with the Lakers alongside Kobe Bryant, and 1 with the Miami Heat, and a league MVP in 2000. Beyond the stats, Shaq's huge personality made him a global icon. He was famous for breaking backboards with dunks, but also for making people laugh with his jokes and bringing fun to the sport. On the court, he was a physical force, and off the court, he became a successful businessman and entertainer. Now, it might seem like Shaq had it easy because of his height, but he faced his own challenges growing up. As a kid, he was often the biggest in his class and felt awkward and out of place. He moved frequently because his stepfather was in the military, which meant he had to constantly adapt to new environments. Shaq also had a glaring weakness in his game: free throw shooting. Opponents often fouled him on purpose, called the Hack-a-Shaq, because they knew free throws were hard for him. Instead of letting that humiliation break his confidence, Shaq kept practicing and maintained a sense of humor about it, famously saying, "Me shooting 40% from the foul line is just God's way to say nobody's perfect." He learned to turn criticism into motivation. "I had to learn at an early age to turn criticism into motivation," Shaq recalls. Early in his NBA career, some doubted if he could ever win a championship. Shaq answered by training harder, even learning from legends like Hakeem Olajuwon, and eventually became a 3-time Finals MVP with the Lakers. Shaq's mindset blends hard work with a positive outlook. One of his favorite personal quotes is, "Never worry about the problem, always worry about the solution." In other words, don't get stuck complaining, focus on fixing things. On the court, that meant if another team exposed a weakness, Shaq and his coaches would adjust their strategy. For example, improving his passing out of double teams. In life after basketball, Shaq applied the same philosophy. He went back to school and earned a doctorate degree in education, and he invested wisely, from tech stocks to franchise businesses. He's expanded his reach into entertainment and business, becoming a successful entrepreneur. For young fans and entrepreneurs, Shaq shows the value of adaptability and big-hearted leadership. He reminds us to embrace who we are, even our flaws, keep learning, and use our success to make others smile. Whether dominating the paint or cracking a joke on TV, Shaq's approach is about confidence with a smile. Tackle challenges head on, but have fun along the way. Coming in at number 7 is Larry Bird. Larry Bird is a Boston Celtics legend and one of the most complete players in basketball history. A 3-time NBA champion and 3-time MVP in the 1980s, Bird could do it all. He was an elite shooter, a clever passer, a tough rebounder, and a notorious clutch performer. Bird wasn't the fastest or highest jumping player, but his competitiveness and skill were unmatched. Along with Magic Johnson, he helped save and popularize the NBA in the 1980s thanks to their famed rivalry that captivated the nation. Larry Bird's swagger, work ethic, and will to win made him an icon. Fans in Boston called him Larry Legend, and to this day, he's revered as the embodiment of hard-nosed, blue-collar excellence. Now, Bird's journey from a small-town kid in French Lick, Indiana, to NBA superstardom is full of challenges. He grew up in a poor family and faced tragedy when his father took his own life during Larry's teen years. Bird briefly attended Indiana University, but felt out of place and dropped out, later enrolling at tiny Indiana State University. Many thought he'd thrown away his chance at big-time basketball, but Bird found his confidence at Indiana State, carrying them to the NCAA championship game where he faced Magic Johnson in 1979. Critics said he wasn't athletic enough for the NBA, but he proved them wrong from his rookie year, winning Rookie of the Year and transforming the Celtics. Bird also battled through serious injuries. During his career, he played through back pain and even finished games after smashing his head on the court. His solution to every setback was the same: outwork everyone. Bird was famous for arriving at the gym early and shooting hundreds of practice shots every single day. A winner is someone who recognizes his God-given talents, works his tail off to develop them into skills, and uses those skills to accomplish his goals, Bird said, explaining his philosophy. Even when he lost a game, he'd study what he did wrong and come back better. Even when I lost, I learned what my weaknesses were and I went out the next day to turn those weaknesses into strengths, he said. This relentless drive turned a slow, small-town kid into an NBA legend. Now, Larry Bird's mindset can be summed up in one word: competitive. He absolutely hated losing and was willing to do whatever it took to win. Dive for loose balls, talk trash to opponents, or spend extra hours in the gym. His confidence was legendary. He once told opponents exactly how he'd beat them with a last-second shot, and then he did it. Bird's leadership was about elevating his teammates' play. He led by example with toughness and by making the smart pass to the open man. Off the court, Bird stayed humble and true to his roots, never seeking the spotlight. His story teaches us that hard work beats pure talent when talent doesn't work hard. For entrepreneurs and young fans, Larry Bird is proof that if you put in the effort to master your craft, you can compete with anyone. He showed that believing in yourself, even when others underestimate you, is key. Bird once said, "I wasn't real quick, and I wasn't real strong, so I beat them with my mind and my fundamentals." He turned his mind into his greatest weapon. So the takeaway for you is know your strengths, shore up your weaknesses, and never, ever back down from a challenge. Coming in at number 6 is Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant is often hailed as the closest thing to Michael Jordan since Michael Jordan. A 5-time NBA champion with the Los Angeles Lakers, Kobe's combination of skill, drive, and clutch ability made him one of the most feared competitors ever. He scored 33,643 points in his career, that's 4th all-time, and once dropped 81 points in a single game. But what truly defines Kobe's legacy is the Mamba mentality, his term for relentless focus, ultra-competitive fire, and constant self-improvement. Kobe approached basketball and later business and storytelling with an almost obsessive dedication. He would practice in the early morning hours while others slept, always looking for an edge. His passion and dedication inspired a global fan base, and even after his playing days, athletes across sports cite Kobe's work ethic as a major influence. Now, Kobe's road to greatness had its share of bumps. He entered the NBA at age 18 straight out of high school, and at first, he really struggled. In one of his first playoff series, he shot multiple air balls in clutch moments, failing in front of millions of viewers. Now, rather than losing confidence, Kobe used that as fuel to get better. That summer, he reportedly spent hours improving his jump shot. Throughout his career, whenever Kobe failed or fell short, he came back stronger. "Everything negative, pressure, challenges is all an opportunity for me to rise," Kobe famously said. He truly believed that adversity was the best teacher. In 2003, Kobe faced a serious personal and legal crisis. A sexual assault charge was later resolved out of court that could have ended his career and damaged his reputation. It was an extremely dark period, but Kobe focused on basketball as his sanctuary and worked through it, eventually rebuilding his image. He also endured tough seasons on the court, like in 2008 when the Lakers lost the NBA Finals, or when star teammate Shaq left and critics said Kobe couldn't win without him. Kobe responded by leading the league in scoring and winning back-to-back championships in 2009 and 2010, proving the doubters wrong. But perhaps his biggest physical challenge came in 2013 when at 34 years old, he tore his Achilles tendon, one of the most devastating injuries for a basketball player. In a display of pure determination, Kobe walked to the free throw line and made 2 free throws on the torn Achilles before leaving the game. He attacked rehabilitation and managed to return to play again, defying expectations for someone his age. While he wasn't the same explosively after that injury, he adjusted his game and still had a memorable 60-point performance in the final game of his career. Kobe's mindset was ultra aggressive. He believed in working harder than anyone else and never shied away from the big moments. He once said, "If you're afraid to fail, then you're probably going to fail," capturing his fearless approach. He was known to seek out challenges. If there was a tough defender, Kobe wanted to go at him. His Mamba mentality is essentially about constant improvement and resilience. As he described it, the moment you give up is the moment you let someone else win. So he never gave up. Kobe's intense approach wasn't always easy on his teammates. He could be very demanding, but he lifted those who embraced the challenge. Young players like Julius Randle later said they learned immensely from Kobe's mentorship and mindset. Off the court, Kobe applied the same passion to new endeavors. He won an Academy Award for a short film that he made, wrote books for young athletes, and launched ventures in media and investments. He showed that the principles of success carry over from basketball to business: discipline, learning, creativity. The lesson from Kobe Bryant is that greatness isn't a gift, it's a choice. He chose to put in the extra work every day, to play through the pain, and to never be satisfied with past success. For anyone chasing a dream, Kobe's life stands as a great testament. Embrace that grind, face the pressure, and use the setback as your opportunity to rise to a new level. In the end, his legacy isn't just his 5 rings, it's an example of pursuing excellence with every fiber of your being. Coming in at number 5 is Bill Russell. Bill Russell is the ultimate champion in basketball history. He led the Boston Celtics to 11 NBA championships in 13 years during the late 1950s and 1960s, an astonishing record that has never been equaled. Russell was not known for scoring points. Instead, he revolutionized the game with his defense, his rebounding, and his leadership. He made blocking shots and teamwork into an art form. At 6'10", Russell used his intelligence and timing to shut down opponents. But perhaps more importantly, he was the heart and soul of one of sports' greatest dynasties. He became the first African-American head coach in NBA history while still playing on the team and won 2 titles as a player coach. Now, off the court, Russell was a civil rights pioneer who marched with Dr. Martin Luther King and spoke out for equality in an era of harsh segregation. His impact on the game truly goes beyond statistics. It's about his leadership, his sacrifice, and justice. Now, Russell grew up in the segregated American South and later California, facing racism and poverty from a young age. When he arrived in Boston, he encountered racist treatment even from some fans of his own team. At one point, vandals broke into his home and destroyed his property because of the color of his skin. Now, instead of lashing out, Russell responded by becoming even stronger mentally. He used the negativity as the fuel to bond with his teammates and create an unbreakable team spirit. On the court, Russell often faced Wilt Chamberlain, a towering rival who put up huge scoring numbers. Many saw Wilt as the more talented individual player, but Russell consistently found ways to help his team beat Wilt's. How? By focusing on defense and teamwork rather than personal statistics. Russell famously said, "The most important measure of how good a game I played was how much better I'd made my teammates play." This philosophy of selflessness was key to Boston's success. He made everyone around him better. Russell also had to overcome the pressure of constant winning. Every year, the expectation was championship or bust, which is a heavy load to carry. He met that pressure head on, serving almost like a player coach on the floor even before he officially took on coaching duties. In 1966, when he was named the Celtics coach, he broke a significant racial barrier in sports. It was not easy to be the first, but Russell handled it with dignity and led by example. He guided the team to 2 titles as coach while still playing. And through all these challenges, racial hostility, high expectations, fierce competition, Russell maintained an unwavering focus on what mattered: winning together. Bill Russell's mindset was all about team above self. He absolutely defined what it means to be a leader. Rather than chase personal glory, he did whatever the team needed. Some nights that meant scoring, but usually it meant grabbing every rebound. It meant playing tough defense. It meant starting fast breaks with his outlet passes. He cultivated unselfishness as a Celtics core value. Russell would often make a huge play and not celebrate himself, but rather clap for a teammate who finished the play. His leadership was quiet but profound. Teammates knew he had their backs. Off the court, Russell's courage in standing up for civil rights demonstrated leadership in life. He refused to accept second-class treatment, and by speaking out, he paved the way for future generations of athletes to use their platform for social justice. For entrepreneurs and young achievers, Bill Russell teaches that success is a shared effort. He exemplifies that if you build up those around you, you all rise higher. Russell's 11 rings weren't won by accident. They were won by a mindset that everybody's contribution matters. He showed that character and principles are as much a part of greatness as talent. And in business or any team endeavor, following Russell's example means fostering collaboration, measuring your success by the success of those around you. His life also reminds us to stand firm for what's right, even when it's hard. Bill Russell didn't just win games, he changed the game and society for the better through his integrity, resilience, and relentless commitment to excellence for a greater good. Coming in at number 4 is Magic Johnson. Earvin Magic Johnson is the charismatic leader of the 1980s Showtime Los Angeles Lakers and one of the greatest point guards of all time. Standing at 6'9", which is very tall for a point guard, Magic used his height and incredible court vision to revolutionize the game. He could see passes that nobody else saw, turning basketball into entertaining theater. Magic won 5 NBA championships with the Los Angeles Lakers and 3 league MVP awards. In the 1980 NBA Finals, finals as a 20-year-old rookie, he famously filled in at center for an injured Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the clinching game and put up 42 points, 15 rebounds, and 7 assists, winning the finals MVP. It was a performance that announced a new superstar to the world. Magic's infectious smile and love for the game helped bring the NBA into a golden age of popularity. He made everyone around him better with his unselfish play and enthusiasm. Now, Magic's biggest challenge in life came off the court. In 1991, at the peak of his career, Magic Johnson stunned the world by announcing he had tested positive for HIV, the virus that causes AIDS. At the time, HIV/AIDS was widely misunderstood and often seen as a death sentence. Magic had to abruptly retire from basketball to focus on his health. The news could have been a crushing end to his story, but Magic faced this challenge with courage and optimism. He became a spokesman, educating people about HIV, fighting stigma, and advocating for safe practices. In 1992, he demonstrated his competitive spirit and love for the game by returning to play in the NBA All-Star Game, where he won MVP, and by captaining the 1992 USA Dream Team to a gold medal in the Olympics. His brief comeback showed that people with HIV could still lead full, active lives, changing perceptions worldwide. Magic did eventually retire for good, but instead of fading away, he turned to entrepreneurship and philanthropy. He overcame the health scare and built a second career as a highly successful businessman, investing in movie theaters, restaurants, and even becoming a part owner of sports teams. On the court, Magic also overcame competitive challenges. He entered the league as a young man with a flashy style, and some wondered if that style could win championships. He proved that it could. But he also learned from defeats like the 1984 finals loss to the Celtics to improve his game management and defense. Magic dealt with pressure constantly, from being a superstar in the media capital of LA to living up to the name Magic. He took those pressures in stride with a grin. When the Lakers were in tight spots, Magic's confidence never wavered. As a leader would say, ask not what your teammates can do for you, ask what you can do for your teammates. A twist on a famous quote that showed his team-first mentality. Now, that approach helped him overcome any chemistry issues and unite his team towards a common goal. Magic Johnson's mindset is all about joyful leadership. He had fun playing, and that fun was contagious. But make no mistake, he was deadly serious about winning. Magic had an uncanny ability to remain cool and make clutch plays, which earned him the name Captain Clutch in big moments. On the fast break, he would often perform no-look passes and dazzling assists, but those weren't just for show. They were smart basketball plays to get the best shot for his team. As a leader, Magic knew how to bring out the best in diverse personalities. From Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's calm focus to Pat Riley's intensity, he listened, communicated, and led with positivity. Off the court, his impact has been just as profound. Magic became a symbol of resilience after publicly battling HIV. He showed millions of people that HIV is a disease you can live with and that compassion and education are vital. Through the Magic Johnson Foundation, he worked to improve urban communities and provide health services. And as a businessman, he broke barriers for Black entrepreneurs, owning companies, and even a stake in the Los Angeles Dodgers and other teams, thereby creating opportunities for others. For entrepreneurs and young people, Magic Johnson exemplifies the power of passion and adaptability. He teaches us to love what we do, to lead with a generous spirit, and to face unexpected hurdles with courage and grace. Magic's life also underlines the importance of team. Even in business, he often talks about having a great team of people and making sure everyone wins together. If you can uplift those around you with a smile, a kind word, or an assist, you create magic, both on the court and in life. At number 3 is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. So Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is a towering figure in basketball, literally at 7'2" and figuratively. He dominated the sport for 20 years from the late 1960s to late 1980s, winning 6 NBA championships and a record 6 MVP awards. Kareem scored 38,387 points in his NBA career, making him the league's all-time leading scorer for decades, a record only just recently broken in 2023 by LeBron James. His trademark skyhook shot was nearly impossible, a graceful one-handed hook shot that he could hit from many angles. But Kareem's greatness extends beyond the court. He's also a New York Times best-selling author, a cultural ambassador, and a social justice advocate. He's known for his intellect and was a trailblazer for athlete activism, using his platform to fight for racial and religious equality. Born Ferdinand Louis Lou Alcindor, he dominated college basketball at UCLA, then changed his name to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar after converting converting to Islam. Throughout his life, Kareem had stood tall both as a sports legend and as a principled, thoughtful leader off the court. Kareem's journey had its own set of challenges. As a very tall, talented teenager in the 1960s, he faced immense expectations and also the harsh realities of racism. In one famous instance, Kareem, then Lou Alcindor, was the star of the UCLA basketball team at the height of the civil rights era. In 1968, he refused to participate in the Olympic team as a protest against discrimination in America. Taking that stand was controversial and he received a ton of backlash, but he held to his principles. On the basketball front, one interesting challenge came during college. The dunk was banned in NCAA basketball largely because of Alcindor's dominance. Instead of letting that frustrate him, he developed the skyhook as an alternate way to score, turning a roadblock into an iconic weapon. In the NBA, Kareem won early, a championship and finals MVP in 1971 with Milwaukee, but then went through some middling years after moving to Los Angeles as the Lakers struggled initially. Critics wondered if his best days were behind him by the late 1970s. Kareem answered by embracing a new challenge. When Magic Johnson arrived on the Lakers in 1979, Kareem, then in his 30s, could have resented the attention the young star got. Instead, he formed a partnership with Magic built on mutual respect. Kareem adjusted his leadership style, sharing the spotlight and mentoring the younger players. This resulted in a 5-title run in the 1980s for the Lakers. And as he aged in his late 30s, Kareem faced the challenges of keeping his body in shape. He adopted yoga, a healthy diet, and meticulous training long before it was common for athletes to do so, allowing him to play effectively until the age of 42. Off the court, Kareem also faced personal challenges. For example, in the 1970s, he dealt with the aftermath of a house fire that destroyed his belongings and nearly his life. He also sometimes felt misunderstood or underappreciated by fans who didn't see the outgoing personality of someone like Magic. Kareem met those challenges by continuing to speak through his craft, winning Finals MVP in 1983 at age 38, proving that age is just a number, and through his writing. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's mindset is one of quiet excellence and integrity. He wasn't a loud motivator. He led by example and with a thoughtful approach. His patience and consistency were legendary. He focused on mastering the fundamentals and staying disciplined. Kareem once said, "You can't win unless you learn how to lose." In other words, every setback is a lesson. This perspective helped him stay on top for 2 decades. He's also known for saying, "I think that the good and the great are only separated by the willingness to sacrifice." Kareem indeed sacrificed personal accolades for team success and sacrificed his comforts to stand up for his beliefs. On the court, he sacrificed flashiness for reliability. The skyhook wasn't a showy dunk, but it was brutally effective. Off the court, he sacrificed time and energy to write books and articles educating others on history and social issues. His impact is immense. As a player, he paved the way for big men to have longer careers and a bigger cultural presence. As an activist and writer, he broadened the definition of what an athlete can be, an intellectual and an advocate. For young people and entrepreneurs, Kareem's story teaches the value of adaptability and lifelong learning. When circumstances change, like a rule that bans dunks, adapt and invent something new, like the skyhook. Remain consistent. Small improvements every day lead to legendary results. And above all, stand for something greater than yourself. Kareem used his fame to advance causes that he believed in, showing that success is not just about personal gain, but about lifting others up too. His legacy as a trailblazer for athlete activism reminds us that true greatness is measured not just by the titles, but by the positive changes that we create. All right, number 2, LeBron James. LeBron James is a generational talent, often compared with Michael Jordan in the debate over basketball's greatest player of all time. Now in his 20th plus season, LeBron is the NBA's all-time leading scorer, a 4-time champion with 3 different teams, and a 4-time MVP. But LeBron's greatness isn't only in numbers, it's in his unmatched versatility and the enormous expectations he's lived up to since he was a teenager. Nicknamed the Chosen One in high school, LeBron entered the NBA at 18 years old with hype unlike any player before him, and somehow he exceeded those sky-high expectations. He could play any position on the court. He scores, rebounds, passes like a point guard, and defends all 5 positions. Beyond basketball, LeBron has become a leader off the court, a voice for social justice, an entrepreneur, and a philanthropist, notably founding the I Promise School in his hometown of Akron, Ohio, for at-risk children. He embodies a modern athlete who uses his platform for empowerment. If Michael Jordan defined the globalization of the NBA in the 1990s, LeBron James defines the player empowerment of the 2000s and 2010s, where athletes take control of their narrative narratives and businesses. LeBron's rise came from very humble beginnings. He was born in Akron, Ohio, to a 16-year-old single mother, and they moved frequently in his early childhood, sometimes struggling to have stable housing. As a fourth grader, LeBron missed a lot of school because of his living situation, but he found escape and hope in basketball. By high school, he was a national sensation, which was a blessing and a burden. Imagine being on magazine covers and hailed as the future of basketball at age 17. The pressure was intense. LeBron had to grow up in the spotlight and made few mistakes. When he entered the NBA in 2003 as a #1 overall pick, struggling or failing could have tagged him as a bust. Instead, LeBron worked tirelessly to improve each year. One early challenge was criticism of his shooting, so he kept refining his shot until it became a weapon. Another challenge in his first stint with the Cleveland Cavaliers, his hometown team, he carried an underdog team to the 2007 NBA Finals but got swept, leading to doubts about his ability to win it all. The biggest public challenge was the fallout from the decision in 2010 when LeBron chose to leave Cleveland for the Miami Heat on a nationally televised special. He was vilified by many for how he handled it, and he suddenly became a villain in the eyes of some fans. In Miami, he then lost the 2011 Finals in an upset, and media pundits were ruthless, calling him unclutch. This was a low point for LeBron's public image. How did he respond? By looking inward, accepting the criticism, and coming back stronger and freer. In 2012 and 2013, he led Miami to 2 championships, silencing a lot of the doubt. He then took on the challenge of an even greater legacy move, returning to Cleveland in 2014, promising to deliver the city a championship. In 2016, he did just that, leading the Cavaliers to a historic title and overcoming a 3-1 finals deficit against a 73-win Golden State Warriors team. It was one of the greatest comeback stories in sports. Through these ups and downs, LeBron showed resilience. He kept evolving his game, improving his post moves, his three-point shooting, and even his free throw routines to address his weaknesses. He also faced the challenge of father time. In his mid-30s and now late 30s, he invests heavily in maintaining his body, reportedly spending 7 figures a year on trainers, nutrition, and recovery to continue playing at an elite level. He overcame a significant injury in 2019, a groin tear, and came back to win a championship with the Lakers in 2012. Off the court, LeBron overcame the odds of a tough childhood environment where many of his peers fell victim to violence or poverty. He stayed focused and also kept those childhood lessons in his heart. I think the reason why I'm the person who I am today is because I went through those tough times when I was younger, LeBron has reflected. Those struggles gave him perspective and drive. LeBron James' mindset blends high IQ, hard work, and social consciousness. On the court, he is often the smartest player. He famously remembers the tendencies of every player and can recite sequences of plays from memory. He prepares his mind and body methodically, showing that success is not just an accident, but the result of dedication. LeBron emphasizes teamwork. He often says his proudest achievement is how he elevates his teammates' games. He's unselfish with the ball, always making the right basketball play, even if it means trusting a teammate with a big shot. This has taught many that leadership sometimes means empowering others to shine. His mantra, strive for greatness, is something he signs on social media, which captures his daily drive. Importantly, LeBron isn't afraid of failure. Don't be afraid of failure. This is the way to succeed, he advises. An outlook that's evident in how he didn't let early finals losses define him. Now, off the court, LeBron has been a very vocal leader. He speaks out on issues of racism, violence, injustice, understanding that his platform can influence millions of people. He famously once said, "I'm more than an athlete. I'm pushing back against critics who told him to stick to sports." He's proven that one can dominate in sports and make an impact in the community at the same time. The I've Promise School he founded in Cleveland offers wraparound services for at-risk kids and their families, a project born from remembering his own childhood challenges. Now, for entrepreneurs and young people, LeBron's story is a lesson in leveraging your platform and staying true to your values. He showed that you can be immensely successful and still care deeply about your community. Business-wise, he took control of his brand, partnering in ownership stakes like in production company Spring Hill Entertainment and being an active voice in team management decisions. This empowerment mindset has spread among other players. But maybe the greatest lesson LeBron offers is resilience in the face of criticism. He's been under the microscope since a teenager and he stumbled in public, but each time he has owned it and grown. His ability to handle pressure and still perform at an all-time level is extraordinary. As a result, he has redefined greatness across multiple teams and over a very long career. The biggest takeaway from LeBron: work hard, adapt constantly, uplift others as you climb, and use your success as a tool to help those who come after you. By doing that, you don't just win games, you leave a legacy. And number 1, the GOAT, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan is widely regarded as the greatest basketball player of all time. A living legend whose impact on the sport and popular culture is immeasurable. He won 6 NBA championships with the Chicago Bulls in the 1990s, going a perfect 6 for 6 in the finals and earning finals MVP each time. Jordan's individual accolades include 5 MVP awards, 10 scoring titles, and countless iconic moments that have been seared into sports history. Known as Air Jordan for his leaping ability and spectacular dunks, he became the face of basketball worldwide, sparking a globalization of the NBA. Beyond the court, he built the Jordan brand into a massive business, demonstrating how an athlete could become a global marketing powerhouse. But what really sets Michael Jordan apart is his unmatched competitive drive and will to win. His intensity, work ethic, and clutch gene are the standard by which all other players are measured. Quite simply, when you think basketball greatness, you think of Michael Jordan. Now, it might be surprising to some that Jordan had to overcome significant challenges on his road to superstardom. One famous story, as a sophomore in high school, Michael Jordan tried out for the varsity basketball team and he didn't make it. The coach cut him, selecting older, taller players instead. Michael was devastated. He went home, locked himself in his room, and cried. But that disappointment lit a fire inside him. Rather than give up, he used it as motivation. I thought I worked hard. When I got cut, I was really hurt. But I think that just made my determination a lot stronger, Jordan later said. He spent the next year obsessively practicing, arriving at school early to shoot in the gym. He grew taller and stronger, and by the next season, he made the varsity and quickly became its star. That pattern, facing failure and coming back better, would define Jordan's career. In the NBA, Jordan was individually brilliant from the start, but it took time for him to become a champion. For years in the late 1980s, his Bulls were defeated by tougher teams like the Detroit Pistons, who employed physical intimidation called the Jordan rules to wear him down. Jordan had to build his body up in the weight room and learn to trust his teammates more. He did both. Eventually, he and the Bulls broke through and won their first title in 1991. After 3 consecutive championships, at the peak of his powers, Jordan faced an immense personal challenge. His father, James Jordan, was tragically murdered in 1993. Grief-stricken and a bit burned out, Michael stepped away from basketball to play minor league baseball for a year and a half. This was an unprecedented move. The best player in the world walking away. Many were skeptical of his baseball attempt. He faced a lot of critique. Jordan worked hard at it, but he missed basketball. And in 1995, he returned to the NBA with 2 simple words: I'm back. Initially, he wasn't in top basketball shape and his Bulls were eliminated in the playoffs. Some commentators even dared to say he'd lost his edge. Jordan treated that like the high school cut, fuel. He trained ferociously that offseason. The result, the Bulls went 72-10 in a 95-96 season, and Jordan led them to 3 more championships from 1996 to 1998, including grabbing another Finals MVP at age 35. Later, he faced the challenge of coming back again at age 38 to play for the Washington Wizards, in part to share his knowledge with younger players and fuel his competitive fire, even though the team wasn't a contender. Through every phase, Jordan turned setbacks into motivation for him. I failed over and over and over again in my life, Jordan said in one famous Nike commercial, and that is why I succeed. He embraced failure as a step towards victory. In that same message, he recounted missing over 9,000 shots and losing hundreds of games, including 26 game-winning shots he was trusted to take and missed. Instead of those misses breaking his confidence, he learned from each and kept attacking. Michael Jordan's mindset is often summed up as win at all costs. He was ultra competitive in everything, not just games, but in practice, in ping pong, in card games, you name it. He once punched a teammate in practice because he thought the teammate wasn't pushing hard enough. That's how intense he was about effort. Jordan demanded the best from himself and everyone around him. His work ethic was legendary. First to practice, last to leave, and he constantly worked on adding new skills. When critics said he was just a dunker, he developed a deadly fadeaway jump shot. When they said he didn't pass, he racked up seasons with 8 assists per game. Importantly, Jordan had supreme confidence. He wanted the ball in his hands in the final seconds. He famously said, "I never feared failure. I would rather risk losing than not try." And this confidence was contagious. His teammates believed that if Michael was on their side, they could not lose. Jordan also had a remarkable ability to live in the moment. He described how, in pressure situations, he wouldn't worry about the shot he missed a few minutes before or the consequences if he'd missed the next one. He'd just focus on that play. That mental toughness and focus made him arguably the most clutch player ever. Off the court, Jordan's impact was enormous in inspiring athletes to think globally. He was one of the first athletes to become a global brand unto themselves. His famous Nike Air Jordan sneakers and worldwide popularity paved the way for today's endorsements and international NBA fan base. Culturally, he was a hero to millions, an icon of excellence. He also had setbacks off the court. For example, he was criticized for not being more politically outspoken during his career, summed up by a quote attributed to him, "Republicans buy sneakers too," suggesting he stayed neutral to not alienate anyone. In his later years, though, he has become more philanthropic and involved in social issues, donating to charities and speaking out at times. The lessons from Michael Jordan are countless, but maybe the biggest one is about resilience and an unwavering belief in oneself. When you get knocked down or get cut from something, use it as a motivation to improve. Jordan teaches that talent matters, but drive matters even more. He maximized his talent with an unrivaled competitive spirit. And another lesson is to seize the moment. Jordan treated each big play as a chance to shine, not a chance to fear. That fearless approach is something any entrepreneur or student can emulate. Don't be afraid of the big opportunity. Go for it wholeheartedly. And if it doesn't work out, learn and try again. Jordan's life also illustrates the importance of loving the process. He often said he played every game as if it might be his last because somewhere a kid might be seeing him for the first time. He was passionate about basketball itself, not just winning. In the end, Jordan's legacy is that of the ultimate champion and competitor. As one ESPN writer put it, the rings, the MVPs, the scoring titles, the shoes, the GOAT. He achieved everything, yet it was his mindset that got him there. His story inspires us to push beyond our limits. Jordan showed that with enough hard work, a refusal to quit, and a willingness to take risks, we can achieve more than we ever imagined. He defined greatness in basketball, and the principles he lived by, the hard work, determination, and a belief in oneself, can help anyone in any field aim for greatness in their own life. So what do these top 10 players all have in common? They each had incredible talent, yes, but more importantly, they had the mindset of champions. They faced adversity, defeats, injuries, personal tragedies, naysayers, and they refused to give up. They constantly honed their craft and lifted up people around them. Michael Jordan used failure as the fuel to drive. LeBron James turned childhood struggles into strength and became a leader on and off the court. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar combined longevity with a willingness to stand up for his beliefs. Magic Johnson brought joy to the game and courage to life's biggest fight. Bill Russell defined team leadership and principled resilience. Kobe Bryant's Mamba mentality taught us to embrace challenges. Larry Bird proved hard work and confidence can beat the odds. Shaq showed how to be dominant yet never stop learning or laughing. Tim Duncan exemplified humility, consistency, and doing things the right way every day. And Steph Curry, the modern underdog who changed the game, reminds us that no dream is out of range if you put in the work. As entrepreneurs, students, or anyone with a goal, we can draw inspiration from these legends. They teach us to dream big, work hard, and stay persistent. They remind us to lead both with our heads and our hearts, to value our team, to lift others up, and to never lose faith, even when the odds are stacked against us. Each of these players started out as a kid with a dream and turned it into reality through dedication and courage. And now, it's your turn. Carry their lessons with you. Whether you're trying to build a business, ace an exam, or overcome a personal hurdle, approach it with the determination of Michael Jordan, the resilience of LeBron, the focus of Kobe, the leadership of Russell, or the innovation of Curry. In your own field, be the magic that brings others together, or the Duncan that quietly excels, or the Shaq that finds solutions. The ball is in your hands. What will you do with it? As Michael Jordan said, some people want it to happen. Some people wish it would happen. Others make it happen. The greatest make it happen. So now you know who the top 10 basketball GOATs are and why they're not just champions on the court, but champions in life. Now it's time for you to get out there and create your own legacy. And remember to never let it rest until your good is better and your better is best.
To watch our take on Lionel Messi's top 10 rules for success, check the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
Do it because you love it.
Why do you say it doesn't matter to you going down in history as the greatest player ever?
Porque lo único que me importa es jugar al fútbol, disfruto haciéndolo desde muy chiquito.